Hi, good evening. This is Ahavah again, and it's Palm Sunday already. Holy Week is already here, and I'm a little bit. I don't know what I feel, but not anxious, but I don't know what I feel. But it's funny, but how time flies so fast, as if it was just only Ash Wednesday. So I planned to go somewhere, but because of the constraints of resources, I had to, cut my trip and just go there for one day you know, and spend the Holy Friday, a Good Friday and Holy Thursday here. And then I will be heading to where I should be on Saturday. Um, Last year it was a little bit different, but this is the first Easter that I would be celebrating without that feeling, the feeling of wanting to see the last one. And that's fine. It's an adjustment because I had that feeling since Easter 2020 actually, because Easter 2019, that was the time I actually thought that it was, I was struggling with it. It started this November of 2018 during the summer in November. And then I was struggling with it, and then I thought it was finally settled, that he reminds me so much of Vince. I don't know why, although he looks a lot handsomer. Oh, he's much handsome than Vince, because he has his looks, but he's not that guy that you would consider as handsome. He has this appeal of some sort, but he's not handsome like, the last one. Of all the men that I was attracted and attached to, ranking them, Vince would be the least of the handsome of all. The most handsome of all rather, is obviously it would be my first. Oh no, it's actually would be the Antonio, and then my high school crush, Rafi, and then I guess it would be Jose, and then it would be the last one, and then RJ, and then Mike, then it would be Darren, and then it would be, I think Darren and Aldrin are on the same footing. And the last one would be Modesto, and the last one would be Vince. Actually, there are less than 10 men that I've actually been attracted and attached to. I'm not that I seldom, it takes a lot for me to be attracted to someone. I might have this liking or affection or infatuation, but liking a man requires a lot for me. It takes a lot of time, and I really have to know the person. And except for the latter four, most of those I've been attached to are persons that I've actually met and know of, and or somehow had a relationship. Like Mike and Darren were my classmates rather, and Modesto also were my classmate. And then Aldrin was, I think, was an acquaintance. And then Rafi was a schoolmate. He was my batchmate during high school. So most of them are really, you see, Rafi, Modesto, Darren, Mike, Aldrin, five of me. And in a span of what? Since first year high school, my crush was always Rafi. The only time I had another crush was during second year, when all of a sudden I found myself very much attracted to Modesto, because perhaps he was a player during my high school days. He was very athletic, and he was oozing with this appeal at that time. He was really he was really good looking at that time, and he was the only one that actually took my attention away from Rafi, because since first year high school, second year high school, around third year was the only time I actually had this liking of Modesto, third year high school. So, and then I got promoted to section B during the fourth year, so that kind of removed me from being exposed to Modesto at that time. And then during college, it was Mike, the Mike. Mike was, I think it's because of he's very quiet. He hardly talks, but he's cute, and I don't know. We had a connection at one point in time. He was my classmate after second year college, so whatever liking I had started around that time, and then Darren around third year college, and then after that I kind of didn't have any liking or something like that. I just perhaps I was preoccupied by my review and then my work and everything, so I never had liking. There were this men who was being teased to me, like my coworker in Nawasa. He's now happily married, and he's a big guy. And then Dong Iseo also, but they were never. I was never attached to them nor attracted. I was just riding along with the jokes and trying to but I never had any feelings like I had with Mike, Darren, and Rafi, and it didn't go to that level. Perhaps because I was really much attached to Mike, because even though I've resolved, but the back of my head, my plans are all set, I would be, but things happened, he got married, and eventually I had to abandon all that, as I mentioned in my previous video, and that's why I think I never did like anyone, because I was very much attached quietly to Mike at that time, since I think Darren was first before Mike when I got attached. Because after Mike, I think there was none. Aldrin was, I don't consider Aldrin as something serious, because it was only an acquaintance. John was the one very much teasing me, but there was not like how I felt with Mike at that time. So it wasn't something serious. And then after that, it's already after what? The next time would be 2012 with 2004 with Antonio. But I don't consider because the thing with Antonio was something mystical, something spiritual. It's not like that with Mike. Mike was something very conventional, so to speak, and very, at least on my end, it was natural for me. But with the one with Antonio was very much mystical. I don't know what happened there, but the first time I saw him, he was singing with the choir. And then after meeting him, I was going around. Obviously, I was very new to the place at the time, so I was, poking around, seeing every inch of the place. And all of a sudden, he came out from the other door, and then I was going to the back of the Etika. He was going to, and then we met. And then we looked at each other, and it's so weird, It's like I was drawn to him, even at that first moment. We passed. He has these glasses at the time, and then a messenger bag, a leather message. I still could remember everything. And he passed by me, And I said, oh, that's the guy in the choir singing. And then I don't remember, I think he smiled at me. He's a very welcoming person. He smiles at everyone, but for me it was very, he was so handsome, with his blue eyes. It's not blue, it's grayish something. But when the light strikes it, it's kind of become sky blue of some sort. He has a very beautiful eyes, and then we, look at each other. And as if it was nothing. I never thought that I would actually had the opportunity of talking to him for almost half a month, because he was assigned, and therefore I usually meet Tambay at the Holy Sepulchre, and he was the one guarding it. So we had a chance of talking, although we couldn't understand each other. He barely, I think barely is that the adjective. He doesn't know how to speak English. He knows little English, little words, but to conjugate or to speak in sentences in English, he cannot. So we're using sign language actually at that time. So basically, that's it, and it's kind of weird, after him. The next one was in 2009, but it did not progress because I nipped it in the bud. When I was with the conventuals, and then 2012 was with Vince. It progressed to a different level. It's totally not as before, like with Mike. It's very different. It's very different, and that's why with Vince, it's like I was spellbound, as I mentioned in my previous video. Some spell was cast over me because I was never attracted to him. I was fond of him because he's a very quiet. His personality and Mike's personality is basically the same. So anyway, and he's so sensitive. I remember because he has this poker face, and I was joking around while we were doing laundry and something. I think we were doing laundry, and that's the only time that we actually talk because we're there, we're not there to talk or to, socialize, and we're there to pray. So that's the only time, and also when we're doing common work, often he would be aside. But during common work, we'd hardly talk also. He would be doing his stuff, I'll be doing mine. And besides the age gap, it's so weird. It's really so weird. That's why I think it was a spell of some sort that was cast upon me, and made me attached to him, And when they were doing, because my personality, I'm a very how do you say this? I always make biro or kulit, and we were doing laundry, was at the end, and I was at near the pathway. And I was saying, oh, why do you look like why do you have a poker face? And why do you look like so sad and everything, as if you're carrying the entire world? And it's not even Good Friday, so that's when I coined that Good Friday face. His face always looks like Good Friday. Because it's always, and that's the time I could remember I was conversing with him. The person that I was always talking actually in the monastery was Ire or Noel. Because of his personality, he's vivacious and very talkative also. So he likes to talk. And that's not how Vince is. That's why he reminded me of Mike, because Mike hardly speaks. The only time I hear him speak is when I joined in during when the guys are together. That's the only time I hear him talk. But inside the classroom, no. Even when he's called by our teacher, he hardly speaks. I couldn't remember him talking, you know. When you talk to him, obviously he would respond, but me seeing him talk, and that reminded me about Vince, because Vince was so much like that. He hardly talked. We were seated beside each other, and the entire prayer would pass by, and there was not even a word. We nod our head, raise our eyebrows, but speaking, and that's why it's kind of funny, you know, that I would be attached to him. With Darren was that's why I think a lot of girls are attracted to him. It's because he's very manambing, you know, and he really knows how to work a girl, you know, like how to treat a girl, and you feel like a queen when you're with him, you know, and that's why his wife is very lucky to have him, because I bet that's how he is with most of the women that he has been associated with, and and plus he was really thoughtful, very sensitive, and even up to now, you know, I feel so comfortable with him even back then, and that's why I think that's the reason why I was attached to him, you know. And not only me, I have a lot of my girlfriends were also very much into him, you know. And not only in my class, but in the higher class, you know. And that's why he was very much, you know, in demand, so to speak, during our college days. But Mike is quiet, but he's handsome, yeah, he's cute. And with the one who got away, the only time I was able to talk to him was during the exit interview face to face. So that's one. And from time to time, I see him. I'm coming down, he's coming up, or he's entering. Because in the latter part of my stay at the office, I was brought to the office near the boardroom. So that's and he's always there. I always visit his parents, so I would often see him. But that was the only interaction I had with the one who got away. And but each time we had a conversation, it's like I'm taken away from this realm and transported into another dimension. That's because when we meet each other on the stairs, so that he would literally stop, you know, and greet. I think that's how he is, yeah. It's not only with me, because I see it also with other people, but the problem with me is because I have this, you know, I was very much consumed already of this feeling I had, and each time we see each other, I'm radiating in so many ways. And he literally stops. And sometimes when he gives documents to me, that's the only time also. But he would just give it to me, you know, and then he would just give it with a smile, as he does with all. It's not that I'm, you know, it's just really that there was this. I just don't know if it was felt mutually, because at my end I can assure myself that there was. But at his end, I cannot conclude that with the way he treated me, because that is how he's treating or most of the person I saw interacting with him. So there is I couldn't conclude that the feeling was mutual. No, I have no conclusive proof. With RJ, especially with RJ, none at all. With RJ, the reason was, as I mentioned, I wanted to divert all my attention to him, and because of his person, I the opportunity for us to interact wasn't there. The only time I had to talk to him was less than a minute before we actually started working. Yeah, there was no interaction, or interface, so to speak. No. Everything was more or less in level that is mystical in so many ways, and I don't know how true all those things were. Even I don't know how, if there is any semblance of reality to all that I have experienced, or whether it was shared mutually. I don't know that, but what I know is what I had felt at the time, and it was very strong. It was very strong, and each time I see him back then, what happened was what I was feeling with the one who got away is like transferred to him. So each time I see him, I radiate those. That's basically what's happening, and I feel this beautiful feeling within me. It's like I'm blossoming. This beautiful feeling consumes me, and it makes me smile. And that's why the title, or the call name I use for him was the one who makes me smile. Because he literally makes me smile when we're near together. I don't know why. We're just around each other because we hardly talk. Because his personality is similar to Vic's. I think that's why I also was very much attracted to him. It's because his person is so quiet, and he'll talk, but he's not someone that will talk to you. But he talks, but it's just that he doesn't talk to me. That's the problem. And that's why I never had any conclusive proof to support whether there was a mutuality of experience. None with RJ. And after RJ is the last one, with that also I had no, even after talking to him, and telling him everything, I was really very much, I said to myself, it's all or nothing. It's better that I say everything, and I think I did, and I looked into his face. He looked so he was always looking at the clock. I really felt that he wasn't comfortable hearing all the things that I was saying, and that actually gave me an idea of how real, or whether there is any shared if there is any shared affection, or shared or mutuality in experience, his facial expression, and his smile is a smile like he's like, that's the thing I could read, his smile is like, oh my gosh, OMG, it's this OMG smile, saying that, oh, after all that I said to him. I think he felt, my analysis is he felt weird hearing all those things from someone who's totally a stranger and someone whom he only see from time to time that way. So that's just his face. But I had to do it, and after doing it, it kind of gave me peace. So basically that's how everything was, that the based on experience, I'm not attracted immediately to a guy, I might be captivated, or my attention might be called because of how handsome he might be, but after that it's like smoke disappearing, and I don't know, it's that's why I feel different from most of my contemporaries, because I really wanted something permanent, something that's long term, something that's not passing, I've always wanted that, but the problem is I never had a chance. So basically that's how the men that I've actually been attached to or attracted to, and with the latter part, most of them was not of a physical nature. I was attracted them romantically, but not physically at the start. It's when the physical attraction only came in when there was already an attachment. And this was very evident with RJ. To me, he was the most handsome and sexiest man when I was very much attached to him way back in 2013 and 14. I don't know, but now when I see him, it's not there, and it's weird. It's so weird because from 2014 to 2021 or 2020, each time I see him, there was this feeling still. But now it's weird, I see a face. I remember how I felt, but I don't feel it anymore. It's weird. It's really weird. Unlike before, it was very strong before, that it makes me cry because each time I would be leaving the place where we see each other, I would be filled with this lonely and depressing feeling because I'll be far from him, it's so weird. I don't know if he feels that way too, but when we're around each other, it's like, though we don't talk, like I feel so happy. It makes me feel good, That's the thing. He makes me feel good when I'm around him, when he's near. Especially when he's working and I'm working too. There was several times that happened, and I feel weird. I feel so joyful. That's the word. When we're around with each other. And that's why there was a moment that we were really together in a place there, And this was a time when it was at the peak already, and it was so strong. I couldn't breathe, but because of this excitement that we're near each other and everything, But eventually it disappeared. Actually, now I realize that the last one took the place of RJ, and that's why, in so many ways, RJ was dislodged. So what I've analyzed it. So whatever I was feeling for RJ was transferred to the last one, but in a more intense way. Because with Jose, it was transferred to RJ. And whatever I was feeling with Jose was similar to what I was feeling with RJ, except that there was an increase in intensity. Physical, because it's like there's this force in me that wanted to be with him, it's so weird. That's why I had to return back here in Sao Paulo, because I had to do something. At least when I'm here, it takes about 2 hours to go there, plus the cost of going there. So by the time I decided, the intensity of desire to see him disappeared already. That's why it was a very wise decision to return to San Pablo. Had I not, then I would have been always exposed to him, and that would have complicated everything. And the formula that I used with RJ is also the formula that I used with the last one. But the problem with the last one was it was very costly. But what can I do? I had to do something about it, because if he was following that path, perhaps if he was a classmate of mine, then it would have been different, But the problem is, I had to do something about it. It was very intense at that time, and I used only what experience has taught me with RJ, and that was to leave. But it took what? 2019, 20, 21, 22. And even now, I'm not 100% sure if it's all over, if everything's gone, like what happened to RJ. And I guess because I haven't been attached to someone else, that's why I'm trying my best. But the problem is, I don't want to force myself, because of what happened also with RJ, because in all honesty, I wouldn't have done that, because if I wasn't that afraid, and I learned from experience, if I just do it for the wrong purpose, like what I did with RJ, the reason why I involved him is because he's the only one available, not available, but near. For me to transfer what I was feeling for Jose at that time. It worked. Like most of the inspiration I had worked. Now the last one, I think once I fall in love with someone else, I think what happened with RJ will happen to him. He will be dislodged, and his place will be taken by someone else. I guess that's why this thing is not yet closed. And that's why I'm praying for the arrival of that person whom I would be attached to and involved with, you know. And my only prayer also is that he's not young. I don't know, because I have a problem with the age, you know, but a lot of my friends and some of my acquaintances says age doesn't matter, but for me it matters. It's different. That's why my prayer is that he be around at least 40 years old. But lately, somehow, after praying a lot, and I kind of, you know, if it's removed that reservation regarding age, because most men around 40 are married. So if I would be involved with men who's around 40, then I might be a concubine of some sort, and I'm a mistress of some married man, and I do not want that also. And that's why I kind of, you know, set aside the age. But my prayer is not that he's not that young, you know. And the only consideration now is really the connection. The primary or controlling element, rather, it's the connection. If there is a connection regardless of the age, then I'm obliged to entertain the feeling, and then if it's shared mutually, entertain the person. And if we are compatible, then entertain the possibility of having a relationship with that person. So it's a progression. It's not that I would immediately be involved with someone. And I guess it's much better that way. So I guess I hope you will pray for me. It's Palm Sunday, and I hope after this Easter or during Easter I would somehow bump into him, the one I would be more or less attached to, and if he's really the one belong to. Tata, happy Easter.